JMI RxMed.
Yeah, we pronounce it JMRX. Hi. Yeah, I'm going to talk about an overlay journal. Who here knows what an overlay journal is? Okay, so not everybody. So when I embarked on this project, I thought I knew what an overlay journal is. I'm not sure anymore. I'm going to talk more about this in my last slide, but just to give you like a working definition, an overlay journal is a journal or an entity that sits on top of a preprint server and offers rapid peer review and also some sort of publication, perhaps, of the version of record. So my name is Gunter Eisenbach. I'm the founder and also executive editor of JMIA Publications. Just to give you a bit of background, we are one of the first early open access publishers. Were founded before even PLOS or BMC in 1999. I myself, I'm a kind of accidental publisher. I'm an academic, so I created the Journal of Medical Internet Research in 1999, and it kind of grew into a publishing enterprise, which is JMIA Publications, which is a born digital, fully open access publisher based in Canada. And by output, I believe we're the largest open access publisher in Canada, at least by output. And as I said, we were quite early in the history of open access. And in 2019, we celebrated our 20th anniversary. And in the theme issue, the 20th anniversary theme issue, we announced the creation of a new series of journals that we call super journals that you may also call overlay journals. So they sit on top of preprint servers and publish the version of record of preprints. So we have this series is called JMIA X. We have JMIA X Med that sits on top of basically medRxiv. Later this year, we're going to launch JMIA X Bio that sits on top of bioRxiv. And there may be future titles like JMIA Psychology, JMIA X Psychology. So how this works is the author obviously starts with publishing a preprint on medRxiv or also our own preprint server, which is JMIA Preprints. Then the difficulty is to make sure that this preprint is not already under peer review at a journal, and that is not evident from the current preprint service. So we have to contact the author. So we send out a survey and ask the author questions like, is this preprint already under consideration? Because if it is, we don't want to interfere with that. We are not interfering with a preprint that's already under peer review. And we also ask, are you interested in potentially publishing in under this new model? So we started sending out those surveys in December 2019. So that was like right before the pandemic and right before preprints exploded. So we have a very interesting data set of responses from authors who have published during these times, from December 2019 until now, basically. So the key question here that we asked is this paper already submitted to a journal? And as you can see from this slide, about 30%, so 1/3 of the authors said, no, it's not submitted yet, but I have plans to publish it. There are other responses here, of course, like 11, around 12% said, yes, it's already submitted to a journal, and the journal submitted this on the preprint server on my behalf. Or this 44% said, yes, I submitted it, and I either deposited the preprint after submission or shortly before submission. And then 8% said they don't have any publication plans. So this 1/3 is interesting for us because they publish a preprint, they haven't submitted yet, and they are potentially interested in a peer review, a journal independent peer review. And so about half of those who said, no, I haven't submitted it yet, but I plan to submit, also said that they are potentially interested in this model. So the software or the platform we have developed over the past 2 years, and it's an ongoing development, is what we call a prospecting platform. We call this Open Super Journal System. And it's basically a dashboard that can be used by editors to identify interesting preprints, and that platform also takes into account the survey responses, which reflect the author preferences. We also ask other questions, for example, do you need an impact factor, or do you need PubMed indexing, and so on. So that can be filtered in this dashboard, and editors can get alerts on preprints that are potentially interesting either for JMAX or another journal in the JMA family. And JMA Publications now has 30 journals. Originally, our focus was digital health, but we are also expanding into other areas. One part of the overall concept here is similar to the previous talk, that the idea of a journal independent peer review and then reusing these peer reviews for potentially other journals. So we call this a manuscript marketplace. So after the peer review process, there will be the manuscript and the peer review. And the default option is, the default offer for the author is to publish this rapidly in a JMAX title. But we also put this on this manuscript marketplace where other journals can tap into. Right now it's only JMA journals, but we open up this platform also for other journals who are interested in tapping into this, who may also make publication offers. So, but this is further down the road. Just to explain this, the overall pathway here. As I said, the author publishes on a preprint server. Our platform ingests the metadata, basically scrapes a lot of metadata, and also sends out survey. All this is going to be in that platform. And there are different pathways on how preprints that are interesting can be identified. So we take into account social media signals, for example, highly tweeted preprints. We call this TwimPath factor. Or the author can self-nominate this preprint through the survey and can say, yes, I really want this to be peer-reviewed. And in the future, we are hoping to sell this to funders or institutions. That's another pathway. We would identify institutions or authors who are affiliated with institutions who are what we call Plan P members, where we offer this kind of rapid peer review. Then the peer review itself also has different tracks. So one is a very traditional peer review track where the editor of JMAX identifies experts, and the expert writes narrative peer review. But we're also experimenting with other forms of peer review. For example, we are collaborating with pre-review on preprint journal clubs. So these are kind of virtual webinars where the community is invited to attend and to discuss the preprint. Those are transcribed, and the authors then invited to revise the preprint in response to it. I'm almost out of time, so just a few screenshots on how this looks like. one thing that we also publish alongside the version of record, and also the author is actually revising the preprint, and then we publish the final version as a version of record, but we also publish the actual peer review comments as commentary, and also the author responses to the peer reviews. So we have recently been accepted in PubMed and PubMed Central, and we think that this is probably the first overlay journal that's indexed by PubMed Central. And final slide, I reflected at the beginning over like the terminology, what does overlay journal actually mean? So you can see the Wikipedia definition here, which is the definition I gave at the beginning of this talk, but looking also at what other people are doing in this space. And there are overlay journals in other disciplines other than medicine. They vary widely in how they do things. And I tried to, and I also compared ourselves against what MIT Press launched during COVID. That's the RRC19 journal. So I see differences here alongside 3 axes. So I'm thinking of this space as a cube, and with kind of 3 dimensions and 3. It's basically a continuum along these axes on how the review process is organized. So is it, for example, just tapping into the comments of a preprint server, or we organize a peer review process? It's also the axis on to what degree is the author involved. For example, the MIT RRC19 is not asking the author to publish a peer review, whereas we work closely with the author and we only peer review a preprint if the author wants it. And also the third axis is the final product or the phenotype, because some overlay journals just, for example, MIT RRC19 only publishes the peer reviews. We, on the other hand, we work with the author like a traditional journal towards a version of record that will then also be indexed.
So I think it's time for questions.
Hi, Kristen Inman, Environmental Health Perspectives. I'm interested in the manuscript marketplace. I understand you said that's in the future, but is that a place, if I understand it, that journals such as my journal could go and be able to, I guess, sort through preprints that are available for publication? I know one of the challenges with looking at preprints and finding something you might be interested in for your journal is that a lot of them have either already been submitted or published elsewhere.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yes, that's exactly the idea. We haven't really figured out the economics yet. The broader idea here is we're an open access publisher, and we really want to migrate away from open access fees. So we want to sell this as a kind of a subscription to institutions and funders, so that they, at the end of the day, fund the peer review process. Then I guess the journal who picks up a already peer-reviewed manuscript is expected to give certain benefits to the author. For example, if it's an open access journal, reduction in the open access fee because it's already peer-reviewed, or other things. So that's the kind of things we're grappling with. How the final.
Let's take a question from the side of the room.
Vivian Bachelet from MedWave, Santiago, Chile. Could you be specific about your business model, please?
Yeah, I was just trying to.
Specific,
so the vision here is that we sell this as a subscription, kind of like a annual fee based to funders and institutions, and perhaps also individual labs. So the idea is the lab or the institution pays an annual fee, and it covers peer reviews of all the preprint output of their faculty and staff, right? And we will have to like gather more data on what the uptake of this model is and how much it's going to cost and so on. But that is the final idea. So we do not want to charge on a per published article basis. Perhaps we're going to publish on a perhaps we're going to charge on a per peer review basis. That's something we're also considering. But for us, the ideal scenario would be kind of a subscription.
This side of the room.
Sorry, a follow-up question on this. So essentially, you're charging the authors to publish in your journal. Is that correct?
No. The idea is to charge the funders and the institutions.
But essentially, okay, so
subscription / membership, maybe membership is a better word here, membership model. So if an institution and a funder is a member, they contribute towards those costs.
But the articles are freely available already on the preprint service. Is that correct? That will stay so, right? I mean, what information are you charging for?
We're charging for the peer review.
Oh, are you paying the peer reviewers?
We are giving them what we call karma credits.
So you're not giving money to them, you're giving...
Eventually it will be like, there's a lot of things I didn't mention here. So some of these things will be in a blockchain. So this will be kind of you can think of it as a virtual currency that the reviewers can then use these karma credits also as credit.
But you're not giving them actual money. You're charging actual money to funders, but you're not.
We probably should move to the next question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Michael, virtual questions?
Just one from Bahar Memani from Elsevier. Can you explain how this overlay journal model is different from eLife or eLife Sciences? If you can speak to that.
I don't know enough about what eLife does in detail, but perhaps it is not. Perhaps, I mean, this is both. So some people refer to this as PRC approach, right? First publish, then review, then curate. I think we are very aligned with that. We like both eLife and JMF Publications are aligned with that idea. PRC,
okay.
Publish, review, curate.
Okay. Question from the mic.
As articles posted on preprint servers are now more commonly submitted to medical journals immediately, as will be discussed at this conference, do you feel like the quality of preprint postings have gone up?
I can talk to that. I don't know. I don't have any data on that.
Okay.
Any final in real life or virtual questions? Yes.
So I have a question following up Wolfgang's question. So I'm in the machine learning community, and in our community, all of the journals are free to submit, free to publish, and free to download. I mean, they are entirely community driven, community operated. So what are your thoughts on that kind of a model and why we shouldn't do that?
Well, I wish it would be so easy. I mean,
it works. It works.
Yeah, in medicine, I don't know, and in life sciences, it doesn't. Like our editors actually expect some honorarium. Like it starts with that, and we have like professional staff. It is expensive. Like as we heard in so many other talks here at the conference, you have to check so many things, guidelines, consort, and so on. You need to hire professional staff to do that. So
maybe it's just a community thing. Like 22 years ago in my community, there was a for-profit journal, which was the main journal. All of the editorial board resigned and started this new journal, which is the best journal now. So, you know, it's possible.
Well, perhaps it's also an issue of incentives. Perhaps in the life sciences, the incentives are not there for editors and peer reviewers to get proper credit for this kind of work.
Thank you. And so thank you very much.